So this step is about creating an RCP, or a reflected ceiling plan, which is basically distributing the kitchen recessed lightings, recessed fixtures, and the type of fixtures that you have in your ceilings. Now, the thing that we're going to be doing, or what you will be doing for creating the recessed or the RCP, which is a reflected ceiling plan, is you're going to take a copy, an exact copy of what you have here, of the walls that is containing your kitchen. And then that copy, you're going to drag it here. So for example, if I'm going to take that copy here, so I'm just going to highlight everything. I'm going to copy that. And then I'm going to create a copy just to the side like this. All right. So now after creating a copy, you're going to remove everything except the structural elements. So all of the structural elements that you have here are going to be removed, including even the hatching. So everything like this that you have here should be entirely removed, because we're basically creating a new plan, and this plan is reserved only for the lighting fixtures. Now, each lighting fixture will have a symbol, all right, and you're definitely free to explore the type of symbols. You can see them in your lecture, because I know that some of you have gone through the lectures and found the symbols for RCP or the symbols for lighting. Here we're creating just the recessed type of lights, okay? And if you take a look at my kitchen here, I have a soffit actually that extends up from the ceiling height up to where the cabinets are, the wall cabinets. And within this, it does live those recessed lightings. Now, those recessed lightings are distributed in the way that you can see right now. And creating the symbols for them is fairly easy, because recessed lighting are just circular items. I also added the pendant, which is here. Okay, so I have those. Definitely, because I'm taking a look this way, so I'm definitely going to see the ones here which are above the kitchen base cabinets, which are here. And their distribution is according to their location. So if you can just measure them by eye, or just try to see the type of fixture that you have in your kitchen, or the type of lighting fixture. Now, the thing is, we also need to add certain dimensions. So the dimensions here have to be between, if you have recessed lighting, and I just want to show you some recessed lighting fixture. Let me show you what that means. Recessed lighting in kitchen. And they will look something like that, basically. So this is what I have in my kitchen. They would look something like this. So with that, we basically kind of give them a symbol to recognize them on the floor plan, because that's the RCP dedicated to the lighting fixture. And we add them according to their placement and the dimensions that we have. We have to note that the type of layers that are dedicated to those fixtures. So first of all, if you're going to be creating those according to what you have in your kitchen, those must be actually placed on ceiling light. And you can take a look at the features or the characteristics of this layer if you go here in your assignment. And you're going to find that I got those from here. So for example, you have the ceiling lighting fixture, which belongs to the ceiling light. Okay, we have so those, basically anything that is hanging or suspended or mounted on the ceiling is going to be on this layer here. We have the ceiling switch. So the switches, which we're going to be talking about right now, is going to have to be on this layer. Okay, which is almost exactly the same one as the ceiling light. I'm talking about the characteristics of that. And we have the e-ceiling wire, which is the wiring between the fixtures. And this is a different color. It's cyan and it's hidden, and it's 0.35 in terms of the line weight. So if we take a look here to what I have, those three that I have here, which are represented in this elevation, they operate on a different switch. Okay, so they have their own switch. That's why we need to create a wire between them. As we said, the wire belongs to the e-ceiling wire. And the switches, they have their own. We're going to talk about how to create the switch symbol, which is very easy. And then, because those are going to be operating, they're going to be turned on and off together. So that's why they're connected to one switch. The pendant, the ceiling pendant, which is this one, operates on its own switch. And then we have those 5 recessed lighting operating on their own. You might have everything in your kitchen operating on one switch. So this means that all of them are going to be connected together and connected to the switch, which is fine. I'm just showing you what you might encounter in other projects, or what you might have in your own kitchen if you have different lighting fixtures that are operating on different switches. So that's the designation of a recessed lighting group that do have their own connection to their own switch. Now, how to create a switch? Well, basically, a switch is basically an S sign and a line that goes through exactly in the middle of that S. So what you can do is that you basically create the on the e-ceiling switch. That's the layer that we have right now. We're going to click on text with a single text. I'm going to click here and enter, and then type S and enter, and then click anywhere and then escape. Now this is the S sign, as we can see. Now how can we create the line? Now if we created a line with the line tool, we might not get the this dash that thick. Now I didn't use any of the line weights here, only what I used is a polyline. So for a polyline, I clicked here, all right, and then I clicked up here, and then I go down. Now as you can see, my line is actually fairly thick. And this is because I clicked here on something called width, okay? And then I made that width 10. So it's going to ask you to specify the starting width with 10, and this is what you will do. You're going to type 10 because probably you don't have that value in yet. I'm going to click enter, and then specify the ending width. The ending width has to be 10 as well. It has to be the same value. So you're going to type 10 again, and you're going to carry on the creation of the line, and then you're going to click and right click and enter. So this is the way that you can create the sign for the switching. Now the thing is that you need to rotate it. So once you create it, you can click on rotate, and then you can select the switch and click, and you can rotate it as you want to. And then you have to place it next to the door, because as according to codes and regulation, you must have the main source of lighting just right after you enter, on the right-hand side or the left-hand side, according to where the door swings. You just have to have them next to the door, the main one, which is creating general lighting. So it depends on which one that you have creating general lighting. So another thing that you will need to create for this, for the RCP, is a symbol that is indicative of the type of material the ceiling is made of. And in our case here, mostly in most residences, it's gypsum board, okay? And this is very easy to be created. It's just, and notice where I have put it. I mean the layer. So if I click here, you can see that I put those, which is the G-ano note. I just put it on a G-ano note layer, and the symbol actually, which should be on any RCP or any lighting plan, is basically just a circle. And inside of that circle, on those two sides, you can actually go to hatch. Okay, and you're gonna go to solid, right, and select just a white symbol, one of those solids here, and then you can just insert it like that. okay, and then close the hatch creation. You might want to click here and just say, well, maybe I want this by layer. Okay, so when you create it, you're going to create it according to the layer you're placing this on. It's totally up to you. Because in all cases, if this is going to be, if we're going to be printing this, maybe the white is not going to be that much visible. So that's fine if you want to create it. Let's go to the same layer, which is the notes one, which is the JANO note. I think it's here. All right, let's make it the current one. And then I'm going to click on this one and click on by layer. So it is yellow now, and close the hatch editor. So this is how you're going to create it. You're just going to fill those two sides or the 2/4 of the circle with yellow. And then using the same text, which is, I have a dimension style text here that is created, which is less in size than the room labels. And this is the dim text that I created. Let's take a look at it so you can maybe copy what I have. It's an Arial, it's regular, and it's 70 as height. You can make it 50 if you want to, and you can set it as current. So this is the one that I used for the dimension. You can use that. And then I wrote gypsum board with that text right here. That number and this abbreviation is for above floor finish. So the ceiling height has to be under the ceiling material. So right after you create the ceiling material text, you need to create another text here, which is basically measuring the entire ceiling height. So even if you have a dropped soffit, this is basically my entire ceiling height on the elevation, as you can see. All right. Now, because I have a dropped soffit here, and this might be something that you don't have or have on your screen, on your kitchen, I must specify this with a line here, okay, that shows a suspended ceiling. Because take a look at what I have here on my elevation. This is a dropped part from the ceiling. So this is called a dropped soffit, and it's usually made also of plywood or gypsum board, and then painted the same type of paint. So basically, if I have that, I should actually refer to it with a dropped line, with that dashed line. And if I take a look, about this dashed line here, the dashed line actually is that suspended ceiling. And if I'm going to open this and see the characteristics of the dashed line, which is here, the I ceiling suspended is cyan, it's excuse me. And it should be dashed, by the way. So I should change this to dashed from continuous. This should be dashed like this. All right, and it's 0.35 and the line weight. So that's if I have something suspended from the ceiling above the cabinet. It should actually look like that, and it should be on that layer, which is I ceiling, excuse me, suspended. Now, also, I will need to have a leader that is explaining, what that line is to the contractor or the electrician. And to do that, all we have to do is that we need to assign for the leader, much as the text and the dim style, we need to create a style specifically to use in the leader. And the style that I created, I called it a leader style. And if we take a look at its characteristics, I'm going to click on, modify here. And I have the leader format straight by block, by block, by block. And then the size is 40, which is the size of the arrowhead. That's so it would be visible. The leader structure, I left everything as is. I didn't change anything. Maybe if you have different values, you can just copy what I have. And then you have content. And in the content, I got into the text style. And I use the same text that I used, the same text style that I used for the dimensions, which is the dimension text. So if you want to go back and check the videos where I created the dimension style, just to know what were the characteristics or the specification of that dimension text. So I used the same one for the leader and kept everything as is almost. And then I'm going to click on OK. And then if you want to set that current, because this is the one that you're going to be using, and then close. Now, how to create this, and this is important to know how to create leaders, because in the section video that we're going to be talking about, we're going to use leaders extensively just to know what are the materials and to put notes on everything that belongs to the kitchen. So the way after you set the leader style here, all you have to do is just, you're going to click here on this icon, which is the leader, and then you're going to hover over any point. Even if that's not exactly the point where you want to put the arrowhead, just leave it and then you can move it. So you're going to click, all right, and make sure that the ortho mode is off. And once you click, the arrowhead is going to start to show, and then you're going to click again. And after you click again, that's where the text placement is going to start to appear. And then you can type, for example, this is drop soffit. Okay, and its height, which is mine was 2005, above millimeter, above floor finish, and this has to be, there's a dot between this, okay? And then after this, if the everything is good, all you have to do is just close the text editor, and this is how it's going to look like. Okay, and those if you have a soffit, you're going to have a leader for it, and then this has to be on your floor plan, on your RCP, because this is how you create a lighting plan for the electrician to distribute the lighting. So those has to be on the GANO note. Everything else, as I said, the recessed lighting, if you click, I'm gonna click on each one so you can see the ones that I have. Anything on the ceiling or suspended from the ceiling is on the E ceiling light, and the wiring between those, which ones are connected to a circuit that belongs to a switch. This is the E ceiling wire. And then the switch and how to create the switch using the polyline, as we said, is fairly easy. The switch belongs to E ceiling switch. If you have a dropped ceiling, this belongs to the I ceiling suspended. We may look at all of the layers that we have here, especially those ones with an E, because those are mostly the ones that where I got the designation for the layers from. So that's how a ceiling plan or a lighting plan should look like. Now, one of the things about dimensions is that you will need to dimension the center of your lighting, recessed lighting. So the center here to the adjacent vertical line and to the adjacent horizontal line, and also you need to dimension the spaces between them. So this is a way for the electrician or the contractor to know how far they're going to be kept from each other and how far they are from adjacent walls. So you really have to make sure that those dimensions are visible on the RCP, and that's how you basically create a reflected ceiling plan as required by your assignment requirement.